Almost $2 billion. That's, wow. That's the projection for the global premium self-tanning market in 2025.
Yeah, it's a pretty staggering figure when you think about it.
It really is. An industry nearing $2 billion, all for getting that sun-kissed look, but, without the actual sun. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
Today, we're really going deep, using a detailed market report as our guide.
Exactly. We're not just skimming the surface here. We want to explore this whole world of premium self-tanners.
And this report, it's incredibly comprehensive. It covers, well, everything. Market size now, future forecasts, different product types, ingredients, who's buying them, where they're buying them.
Yeah.
Even, interestingly, the impact of recent trade tariffs.
Right. So our mission today is to kind of sift through all that information for you. We want to pull out the key insights, understand what's really driving this growth, and, figure out where the opportunities are in high-end sunless tanning.
Okay, let's get into it. The report certainly starts with some attention-grabbing numbers.
It really does. That headline figure, USD 1958.26 million for 2025, that's nearly $2 billion.
But what's maybe even more telling is the growth they're expecting after that.
Yeah, exactly. They're predicting a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 7.50%. That's the average growth per year, all the way from 2025 up to 2033.
Which, if that plays out, takes the market value to, what was it, over $3 billion?
USD 492.51 million, just shy of 3.5 billion. Pretty impressive.
And importantly, this isn't just guesswork. The report bases this on historical data from 2021 through 2024, using 2024 as the kind of baseline year.
Context is key, isn't it? It shows this isn't some sudden fad. There's a real trend here.
Definitely. Now, if we start looking at where this money is being spent, geographically speaking, things get quite interesting.
Okay, so North America looks like they're the current leader.
By a fair margin, yeah. Over 40% of the global market share.
Wow. So that translates to USD 724.56 million in 2025.
That's the figure. Their growth is still solid, projected at a 6.3% CAGR through 2033.
And within North America, the U.S. is obviously the big engine. About $571 million in 2025, growing at around 6.1%.
Right. Canada and Mexico chip in significantly too, with decent growth rates themselves. Canada at 7.1%, Mexico 6.8%.
So, okay, North America's out front. What does the report suggest are the reasons for that dominance?
Well, a few key things. Firstly, there seems to be really high consumer awareness about, the dangers of UV exposure. People are actively seeking safer ways to get that tan.
That makes total sense.
Plus, you've got a really strong established luxury beauty market there already. Big brands are jumping on this.
And innovation.
Definitely. Lots of focus on organic, cruelty-free options, which resonates well. And of course, you can't ignore social media's influence on beauty trends, especially there.
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so North America's leading. What about Europe?
Europe holds a significant chunk, too, over 30%, projected at about $568 million in 2025.
And their growth rate?
A little higher than North America's overall, actually.
Yeah.
Around 6.5% CAGR expected through 2033.
Any specific countries highlighted in Europe?
Yeah, the UK is strong, projected at over $95 million in 2025, with a really healthy 7.3% growth rate.
Okay.
Germany's even bigger in market size, about $112 million, growing at 6.7%. France and Italy are also mentioned as major players.
So North America and Europe are the big players right now. But you mentioned growth trajectories look different elsewhere.
Exactly. Let's talk about Asia Pacific, or APAC.
Ah, right. This is where the report gets really exciting in terms of growth, isn't it?
Absolutely. Currently, they hold about 23% of the market, roughly $470 million in 2025.
Okay.
But here's the kicker. They are predicted to be the fastest growing region by a long shot. We're talking a CAGR of 10.3% between 2025 and 2033.
10.3%. Wow.
Which means by 2033, their market could hit over $1 billion, USD 730.3 million.
That's incredible growth. Any specific areas driving that within APAC?
The report calls out India and Southeast Asia specifically, highlighting really high growth rates there. India's CAGR is projected at 12.2%, Southeast Asia at 11.1%.
So a 10.3% CAGR overall for APAC. Just to put that in perspective, how significant is that compared to, say, other parts of the beauty industry?
Oh, it's definitely significant. I mean, double-digit growth like that in beauty is quite high. It signals really strong consumer uptake, a dynamic market.
And probably attracts a lot of investment and competition.
Exactly. When you see growth like that, brands really sit up and take notice. The fact that the APAC market could nearly double by 2033, it suggests a real shift. It's not just about more money to spend, but also changing beauty ideals, maybe a mix of Western trends and local skincare focus.
That makes sense. It creates a unique demand. So what's fueling this boom in APAC specifically?
It seems to be a combination of factors. The report points to rising, well, beauty consciousness across the region.
Okay.
Plus, the influence of Western trends, often spread through social media, is growing. Then there's the expanding middle class. More disposable income means more people can afford these premium products. And there's just a general rise in demand for luxury skincare. Also, think about K-beauty and J-beauty innovations that focus on gentle, natural ingredients. Fits really well here.
Yeah, that preference for natural seems to be a global theme, doesn't it?
It really does, and we should definitely circle back to that. Just quickly, the report does cover other regions too: South America, Middle East, Africa. Smaller shares currently, but all expected to grow steadily. It gives that full global picture.
Okay, great. So we've got the where. Now let's dig into the why. What are the key things really driving this market forward overall?
Well, top of the list seems to be that demand for natural and organic ingredients we just touched on.
Right.
Consumers are just much more aware and concerned about what they put on their skin. Brands are responding. The report mentions Bondi Sands' Pure line as an example, focusing on eco-friendly packaging too.
Yeah, that resonates with what we see everywhere. People want cleaner, more sustainable options.
Totally. And then there's technology. The product formulations themselves have come such a long way.
No more streaky orange nightmares.
Hopefully fewer of them. We're talking streak-free, long-lasting, even odor-free formulas now. And some are adding skincare benefits like hyaluronic acid. L'Oreal's Sublime Bronze is mentioned as incorporating that.
Interesting. So it's blurring the lines between tanning and skincare.
Yeah.
How are people finding and buying these advanced products?
That's where e-commerce and social media come in huge. Online platforms make it so easy to discover and buy brands, especially for younger consumers who are really influenced by what they see online, influencers and trends.
Absolutely. You can't scroll for long without seeing someone demonstrating a self-tanner. It's incredibly effective marketing.
Mm-hmm. And underlying all of this fundamentally is that growing awareness about the dangers of UV rays.
Yeah.
People want the tan, but they're looking for safer ways to get it.
The health angle is crucial.
Exactly. And it ties into the general rise of detailed beauty and skincare routines, particularly with millennials and Gen Z. Self-tanning just fits neatly into that as a safer choice.
Okay, so lots of positive drivers. But it can't all be smooth sailing. Are there factors holding the market back at all?
Yeah, the report points out a couple of key restraints. One is simply the price.
The premium aspect.
Right. These products often use advanced or natural ingredients, better packaging, and that costs more. So it might put them out of reach for some budget-conscious consumers.
Makes sense.
What else?
There are still some concerns, especially for people with sensitive skin, about potential irritation or allergic reactions. Even with better formulas, that's always a possibility for some users.
Okay, fair enough. So we've got the drivers and the brakes. What about the big overall trends shaping the future here? Natural and organic seems like a massive one.
Absolutely huge. It's moving beyond a niche. Consumers expect plant-based ingredients, eco-friendly packaging, cruelty-free certifications. They're informed and they're voting with their wallets.
And it's not just what's in it, but how it performs, right? Exactly. Technology continues to push things forward. Better applications, streak-free, quick-drying, longer-lasting. But also, personalization is becoming key.
Personalization, how so?
Things like AI tools may be helping you find the perfect shade for your skin tone, or customizable products like tanning drops or mists where you control the intensity.
I've seen those drops.
Yeah, they offer more control. And again, that integration of skincare benefits hydration, anti-aging ingredients. It's transforming self-tanning into more of a multitasking beauty treatment.
It really is getting sophisticated. Now, something else the report flags is the impact of recent tariffs, specifically mentioning the 2025 ones. That sounds like a potential disruptor.
It definitely is. These tariffs, implemented earlier this year, affect a lot of consumer goods because so many companies rely on global supply chains, especially sourcing from Asia.
And these aren't small tariffs?
No. The report mentions ranges from 10% up to 46% on goods from certain countries, plus broader ones on materials like steel and aluminum, which indirectly affects costs too.
So what does that mean in practice for self-tanning brands?
Well, the immediate effects are things like rising production costs. Getting ingredients, components, even finished goods can become more expensive. There's inflationary pressure across the board for personal care.
And trade tensions, particularly U.S.-China, play a big role.
A huge role, yeah. China's been such a key sourcing hub for so many brands, so tariffs on Chinese goods are particularly disruptive. Input costs could go up, the report suggests, maybe 15–30% in some cases.
Ouch. That was hit smaller brands particularly hard.
It definitely presents a challenge, especially for those with tighter margins. They face tough decisions about whether to absorb the costs or pass them on to consumers.
So how are companies trying to deal with this? What strategies are they using?
Market research is apparently becoming absolutely critical. Companies are using it for everything, mapping supply chains, assessing risks, analyzing costs, even potentially redesigning products to use different materials or processes to avoid tariffs. Understanding consumer price sensitivity is also vital. Will people pay more? And the report lists specific strategies. Diversifying sourcing is a big one, looking at places like Vietnam, India, Mexico. Nike and IKEA are mentioned as examples in other sectors doing this.
Right, spreading the risk.
Exactly. Also producing goods in market for market to avoid cross-border tariffs. Using AI for better demand forecasting, pushing for more transparency from suppliers, even, as I said, redesigning products.
It sounds like a real shakeup for how these companies operate globally.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift back to the market itself. Who are the main companies competing in this space? Must be pretty competitive.
Oh, extremely competitive. The report highlights that. The main battlegrounds are innovation, who has the next best formula or application method sustainability, and that personalization trend we talked about.
And are new players emerging?
Yes, lots of them. Often focusing specifically on natural or organic niches, and they're usually very skilled at using digital marketing and social media to build a following quickly.
But who are the established players, the big names the report mentions?
It lists quite a few familiar ones, the Estee Lauder companies, L'Oreal, Shiseido, Saint Tropez, which is quite specialized in tanning,
Right.
Unilever, Cow Corporation, Beiersdorf, think Nivea, Johnson & Johnson, Avon, Clarins, big global players with strong brand recognition and resources.
But they're feeling the heat from the smaller, agile brands.
It seems so. It keeps everyone on their toes, pushing for better products.
Okay, let's break the market down a bit further. The report looks at different segments. What about product type?
So it breaks it down mainly into body tanner and face tanner. Currently, body tanner has the biggest slice of the pie.
Makes sense. People want an all-over glow.
Exactly. But interestingly, face tanner is pegged as the fastest growing segment.
Ah, okay. Why do you think that is?
It probably ties back into that UV awareness and skincare focus. People are maybe more cautious about sun exposure on their face and see these products as a safer way to get color, integrating it right into their facial routine.
Yeah, that fits. What about the form the tanner comes in? Lotion, spray, mousse?
Lotion currently holds the largest share. The report suggests that's down to ease of use, the hydration factor that many offer, helping get an even tan.
Familiar format.
Right. But sprays are growing really fast. Convenience is key there. Quick application, fast absorption, good for reaching tricky spots like your back.
Got it. Lotions for ease, sprays for speed. Now, ingredients. We keep coming back to natural and organic. How does that segment break down?
Well, the natural ingredient segment has the biggest market share right now, that broad preference for less chemical-heavy options.
Yeah.
But the fastest growing segment is specifically organic. This reflects that really strong push towards certified clean beauty.
So there's a distinction consumers are making between just natural and certified organic.
It seems so. Natural might mean plant-derived, whereas organic usually implies stricter farming and processing standards, no synthetic pesticides, that sort of thing. It caters to different levels of commitment to clean.
Interesting distinction. What about gender segmentation?
Unsurprisingly, perhaps, the female segment is currently the largest. Historically, these products have been marketed more towards women.
But is that changing?
Yes, definitely. The report highlights the unisex segment as rapidly growing. It reflects a broader trend towards gender-neutral beauty and more men taking an interest in self-care and tanning alternatives.
That's a positive shift. Good to see.
Yeah.
Finally, distribution. Where are people actually buying these premium products?
Supermarkets and hypermarkets actually hold the largest share currently.
Really? Even for premium?
Seems so. Probably down to sheer reach and convenience picking it up with your groceries.
Okay.
But no surprise here, e-commerce is the channel experiencing rapid growth. The convenience, the wider selection online compared to maybe a local store, plus the influence of online reviews and social media recommendations. It's a powerful combination.
Yeah, online is definitely where a lot of the discovery seems to happen now. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. We've got a big, growing global market for premium self-tanners,
Definitely growing, yeah. Nearly 2 billion now, heading towards 3.5 billion.
driven by that desire for a tan without the sun damage, pushing towards natural and organic ingredients.
And boosted by tech improvements in the products themselves, making them easier and better to use.
Social media and e-commerce are fanning the flames, especially in fast-growing regions like Asia-Pacific, even though North America and Europe are still the biggest markets today.
Right, and it's a competitive space with big brands and nimble newcomers all innovating.
Plus, this whole layer of complexity from global trade and tariffs that companies are having to navigate right now.
It adds another dynamic element to watch.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you, our listeners, to think about. With this huge focus on health, on sustainability, on getting beauty products tailored just for you, how do you think future tech, maybe new ingredients or digital tools, could change the premium self-tanning game even more?
And what new challenges might pop up for these brands? They're juggling shifting consumer values, these economic pressures. It's a lot to balance.
Definitely food for thought.
Yeah, and if this sparked your interest, maybe dig deeper into a specific area. Look into those consumer trends in APAC, perhaps, or see what the latest research says about new organic tanning ingredients. There's always more to learn.